The Arctic stretches beyond the imagination, a vast expanse of ice and shadow, where the horizon curves under a pale sky and silence reigns like a sovereign. Each glacier is a cathedral of frozen memory, its surface carved by wind and time into spires and ridges that shimmer in a light both harsh and fragile. The snow crunches underfoot with a brittle precision, each step echoing through the stillness as though waking echoes from deep within the earth itself. Here, the wind is a sculptor, shaping snow into waves and dunes, whispering secrets of centuries long past. It carries a chill that seeps into the marrow, yet beneath its cold veneer lies a strange, almost hypnotic vitality. The ice is alive, not in the obvious pulse of animals or human presence, but in the slow, deliberate breathing of glaciers, in the cracking and groaning that marks the Earth's quiet movements. To step into the Arctic is to enter a world where scale is absolute. Mountains rise like frozen titans, their jagged peaks casting shadows over valleys of pristine snow. Rivers of ice flow silently, relentless in their advance, swallowing the landscape in slow motion inevitability. There is a rhythm here, one measured not in hours or days, but in centuries. The very land seems to tell a story written in frost, of winters that have lasted millennia, of summers that come briefly and vanish, of life struggling in the margins of survival. It is a harsh realm, yet one of haunting beauty, where the sun barely rises in winter and refuses to set in summer, painting the sky in colors that no painter can truly capture. Pinks bleed into purples, gold touches silver, and the icy expanse mirrors the heavens in a perfect frozen symmetry. Yet beneath this serene surface, danger lies dormant. The ice, while dazzling in its perfection, is treacherous. Cracks snake across the frozen plains, hiding dark, unfathomable depths. Beneath these layers, the earth holds secrets older than humankind, substances and forces waiting patiently in the cold, untouched by time. It is here, in these hidden corners, that the Arctic's dual nature becomes apparent, sublime and lethal, beautiful and destructive, a landscape of contrasts that can humble even the most seasoned explorers. Scientists and adventurers alike approach this frozen frontier with reverence, knowing that each misstep can awaken consequences that ripple through the ice, the water, and the air. Life persists in this austere wilderness in ways both delicate and astonishing. Hardy mosses cling to rocky outcrops, forming carpets of green against the stark white. Arctic foxes and hares leave fleeting impressions in the snow, their presence almost ghostly. Even birds, resilient in their migration, find niches to rest and breed in the fleeting warmth of the brief summer. And then there are the larger denizens, the polar bears, guardians of the ice, moving with stealth and majesty across the frozen seascape. Each creature is a testament to adaptation, a quiet defiance against a world that demands respect. Observing them, one cannot help but feel the fragility of life, juxtaposed against the impermanence of the ice itself. Above all, the Arctic teaches patience. It is not a place that yields quickly to understanding or conquest. Its lessons are slow, subtle, and often humbling. The wind, the ice, and the sky combine to create a rhythm that is alien to the human heart, yet oddly familiar in its quiet insistence. Here, time stretches, compresses, and folds in on itself. The eye learns to see in nuances of white, the ear attunes to whispers beneath the roar of wind, and the mind confronts a stillness so profound that even thought seems to slow, mirroring the deliberate flow of ice over centuries. It is a meditation in survival, beauty, and danger, a front-row seat to the endurance of nature in its purest form. The silence of the Arctic is deceptive. It is not an absence, but a presence, a weight that presses against the skin, a melody written in ice and wind, in the groan of glaciers and the whisper of drifting snow. Every sound, every vibration carries meaning. The snapping of icebergs calving into the frigid waters is a thunderous announcement, reminding all who traverse this frozen expanse that the landscape is in constant motion, reshaping itself with indifferent power. Beneath the still surface of ice, rivers of liquid, ancient and unseen, carve their hidden paths, a reminder that what lies frozen is never truly still. In this realm, observation becomes both art and science, a meticulous engagement with a world that refuses to be tamed. Exploration here is a study in contrasts. The blinding whiteness of the tundra can disorient, masking crevasses that yawn like silent predators. Light behaves strangely, bending and scattering across the crystalline surfaces, creating illusions that challenge perception. Shadows stretch impossibly long, shifting as the sun lingers or retreats, turning familiar terrain into a landscape of the unfamiliar. Even the air carries weight, dense with the chill of centuries, so that each breath is an encounter with the memory of the Arctic itself. Human presence is fleeting, almost intrusive, yet the Arctic accepts it with an impartial gaze, as it has accepted generations of explorers, scientists, and dreamers who have dared to measure themselves against its vastness. Yet, as harsh as it appears, the Arctic is not without its poetry. Frost flowers bloom on frozen lakes, delicate and ephemeral, shimmering in morning light like crystalline bursts of life. Ice caves form labyrinthine passages, hollowed by wind and meltwater, revealing textures and colors that seem drawn from some fantastical imagination walls of blue so deep they appear bottomless. Ceilings that drip with translucent stalactites and floors etched with patterns carved by the patient hand of time. To wander through these spaces is to move between worlds, suspended in a moment where silence, light, and cold combine into a sensory symphony. It is in these moments that the Arctic's duality becomes apparent. Beauty inseparable from danger, serenity inseparable from unpredictability. The human history of this land is brief, yet intense. Indigenous peoples have traversed and thrived here for millennia, reading the subtle cues of ice, wind, and snow as others might read a book. Every footprint tells a story. Every campsite reflects knowledge earned through trial, observation, and resilience. Modern explorers build upon this legacy, mapping, measuring, and studying the Arctic with instruments and technology that allow glimpses into its hidden depths. But for all our tools, we remain students here, often humbled by the scale, complexity, and subtle intelligence of a world older than civilization itself. The Arctic does not yield its secrets willingly. It teaches, tests, and occasionally punishes, revealing truths in moments both breathtaking and terrifying. Beneath the surface lies the greatest mystery, the sleeping forces of the Earth itself. Layers of permafrost, hundreds of meters thick, lock away gases, organic matter, and water in a frozen time capsule. Here, methane has lain dormant for millennia, trapped beneath ice and soil, its presence invisible but immense. Scientists speak of it in hushed tones, a sleeping giant whose awakening could reshape the Arctic and the world beyond. The landscape we see, the glaciers, the frozen seas, the brittle snowfields, is only the surface layer of a far more complex, volatile system. To walk upon it is to traverse a stage where every subtle shift of temperature, every tremor of the ice, may herald forces beyond human comprehension. And yet there is a strange serenity in this awareness. To witness the Arctic is to confront the sublime, the beauty of nature in its most extreme form, the fragility of life against the permanence of ice, the delicate balance between calm and catastrophe. Here, the mind both relaxes and sharpens, attuned to the rhythms of a world that has existed long before humanity and will endure long after. The Arctic is a mirror, reflecting both our curiosity and our insignificance, our awe and our caution, reminding us that the edge of the world is also a threshold to understanding the very forces that shape it. Amidst this frozen expanse, the sky itself becomes a character, painting moods with light and shadow. In winter, The sun hovers near the horizon, a pale disk that casts long spectral shadows across the ice. Colors shift imperceptibly, whites bleed into blues, silvers into grays, while clouds drift like ghostly apparitions over the glaciers. And then, in moments both rare and breathtaking, the aurora ignites the heavens in curtains of green, pink, and violet. It is as though the Arctic itself is breathing, exhaling lights that dance and flicker, ephemeral signals of energy in a frozen, silent world. For those who witness it, the aurora is not just beauty. It is a reminder that the forces shaping this land extend far beyond the ice, beyond the Earth, into the very cosmos. The ice beneath tells stories as old as time. Layers of snow compressed over centuries become blue ice, dense and ancient, revealing the trapped air of millennia past. By studying these layers, scientists read the history of climate, of storms that shaped continents, of temperatures that shifted over eons. Every creak and groan of the ice is a whisper from the past, and to listen is to gain perspective on the fragile thread upon which modern life hangs. Glaciers advance and retreat in silent choreography, carving valleys and fjords, sculpting the land with patient, unstoppable precision. Here, time is not measured in hours or days, but in centuries, and the human eye struggles to comprehend the slow, deliberate rhythm of a world so vast it dwarfs even the boldest imagination. The wind is relentless, a sculptor, a messenger, and a warning. It sweeps across the tundra, carving intricate patterns in the snow and ice, etching ripples that mimic the undulating waves of an invisible ocean. It carries a cold that penetrates layers of clothing, chilling the bones. And yet it is not merely an agent of discomfort. It is a guide, revealing cracks, thin ice, and hidden dangers. The Arctic demands attentiveness, a constant awareness that every step, every decision, carries weight. Those who ignore its signs risk being swallowed by its beauty, unaware that within its serenity lies latent peril. Life persists here, in forms that astonish in their resilience. Arctic mosses and lichens cling stubbornly to rock faces, tiny green rebellions against the white expanse. Snow buntings flit in fleeting arcs, and hardy mammals navigate the ice with uncanny grace, leaving delicate traces that tell stories of survival and instinct. Even beneath the ice, life finds a foothold. Microbes, crustaceans, and plankton persist in frigid waters, thriving in conditions that would kill most other creatures. The Arctic is not a dead desert. It is a living, breathing organism, harsh but pulsing with life at every scale. And then there is the human presence, fragile and fleeting. Explorers traverse the ice in silent caravans, leaving tracks that vanish with the next wind or snowfall. Their tools and instruments measure, analyze, and document. Yet these modern emissaries of science remain acutely aware of their vulnerability. They move with caution, respect, and awe, knowing that the ice can both cradle and betray. Each campfire, each shelter, is a temporary assertion of life against the overwhelming forces of nature, a delicate balance between survival and surrender. Beneath this awe-inspiring beauty, the Arctic hides its most potent secret: the methane fields frozen within permafrost. Invisible to the eye, they are silent sentinels, a latent force of nature capable of reshaping the environment in sudden, violent bursts. The ice may appear tranquil, but these hidden pockets of gas remind us that the Arctic is not merely a backdrop to exploration. It is an active, dynamic system, one that challenges human understanding and tests the limits of endurance. To stand upon its frozen plains is to glimpse the power of nature in its rawest form, a paradox of stillness and motion, of beauty and danger, of wonder and fear. The Arctic is a study in extremes, where the boundaries between life and death, calm and chaos, are often razor-thin. Ice ridges rise like jagged teeth, concealing hidden crevasses that plunge into darkness. One misstep can shatter the illusion of safety, revealing the raw, indifferent power of the frozen earth. And yet, there is a rhythm to this peril, a cadence that explorers come to understand over time. The crunch of snow underfoot, the subtle tilt of an ice sheet, the whisper of wind through a pass, each becomes a language, a code that speaks of stability or danger. In learning it, humans forge a fragile bond with the land, one that is built on humility and respect rather than mastery. Glacial rivers snake beneath the ice, their existence hidden from casual sight, moving with a slow, relentless determination that mirrors the pulse of the planet itself. Meltwater channels carve subterranean tunnels, their walls slick with ice and mineral deposits, echoing the distant groan of glaciers above. In these hidden passages, the Arctic reveals a secret dynamism, a world in motion, reshaping itself from within. What appears frozen and eternal on the surface is, in fact, alive with subtle forces, a reminder that permanence is an illusion, and that even the most massive structures bow to time and nature's will. The cold is not merely physical, it penetrates thought and memory. Days stretch long, with sunlight bending across ice fields in soft, muted arcs, while nights bring a darkness so complete it seems to fold in on itself. Stars emerge in a clarity unknown to more temperate skies, constellations reflected in icy plains as though the heavens themselves have descended. The mind, confronted with such vastness, oscillates between awe and introspection. Questions arise. How can life endure here? What stories are etched into the ice and rock? And beneath it all, what unseen forces lie dormant, waiting for the subtle cues that will awaken them? Survival in this realm demands ingenuity and endurance. Human presence is marked by ingenuity. Insulated clothing, portable shelters, precise navigation. Yet these tools, as advanced as they are, cannot dominate the Arctic. They merely negotiate with it. Each day is a negotiation, a compromise with wind, cold, and the subtle tremors of the earth. Those who traverse these landscapes develop a heightened sense of patience, of observation, of timing. A snowstorm is more than an inconvenience. It is a test. A crack in the ice is more than a fissure. It is a warning. And in these negotiations, explorers learn the delicate dance of existence on the edge of extremes. The Arctic is also a repository of memory, frozen in its permafrost and glaciers. Fossils and ancient organic matter lie locked within ice layers, offering glimpses into epochs long past. Each sample, each core drilled, tells a story of climates warmer than today, of forests that once thrived where snow now dominates, of methane and other gases imprisoned beneath the soil for millennia. These hidden legacies are silent witnesses to a world in constant transformation, reminders that beneath the apparent stillness, life and energy are never truly absent. And yet, even with all its secrets, the Arctic extends a strange invitation. It challenges those who enter to look beyond immediate danger, to see the sublime interplay of ice, wind, light, and life. To stand on a glacier's edge, to feel the wind whip across the plains, is to confront both beauty and mortality simultaneously. It is a lesson in humility, in wonder, and in vigilance, a reminder that to witness such extremes is both a privilege and a responsibility. Here, at the frozen frontiers, humans learn to measure themselves not by conquest, but by awareness, endurance, and reverence. As the Arctic stretches endlessly toward the horizon, one cannot ignore the subtle, persistent signs of change. Ice that once seemed eternal now creaks and fractures in ways that speak to a warming world. Glaciers retreat in silent testimony to centuries of climate shifts, revealing ancient landscapes that have slept beneath ice for millennia. Each calving iceberg, each thawing ridge, is both a spectacle and a warning, nature's reminder that even the most seemingly immutable forces are subject to transformation. The frozen frontier, while majestic, is not static. It is a living, breathing system, responding to both natural rhythms and human influence alike. Walking across this vast expanse is an exercise in humility. The enormity of the landscape dwarfs the human figure, and even the most prepared explorer feels the fragile pulse of life against the raw immensity of ice and wind. Every step is a negotiation with the unknown. Beneath the surface, hidden dangers wake cracks, thin ice, or sudden shifts that remind travelers that mastery here is an illusion. Yet within this fragility lies a profound lesson. To witness such extremes is to understand the delicate balance upon which life, both human and non-human, depends. The Arctic demands respect, attentiveness, and an awareness that each action resonates beyond the immediate moment. And then there is the haunting beauty, the aesthetic that defies comprehension. Ice formations rise like frozen sculptures, etched with lines carved over centuries. Snowdrifts form surreal patterns, sometimes smooth as glass, other times jagged and unyielding. The sky reflects on frozen lakes in perfect symmetry, capturing colors that seem almost unreal: pale pinks, soft purples, and icy blues that shift as clouds move and light changes. In moments like these, the Arctic feels alive in a way that surpasses mere observation. It becomes an immersive experience, engaging every sense, evoking both wonder and caution, joy and unease. Yet even as beauty dominates, a latent energy lies hidden beneath the frozen surface. Methane, trapped in permafrost and beneath glaciers, is a sleeping giant. Invisible to the eye, it waits for triggers, warming, shifts, or pressure that could release it in explosive displays. These hidden forces lend the Arctic an unpredictable temperament, a quiet tension that exists alongside serenity. Scientists study these phenomena with meticulous care, aware that the landscape's outward calm is a fragile mask over immense volatile power. The ice may glimmer under the low Arctic sun, but below, dormant forces remind us that nothing here is truly at rest. To traverse this land is to embrace duality: serenity and danger, stillness and motion, beauty and potential destruction. The Arctic teaches patience, observation, and resilience, compelling those who venture into it to reconcile the allure of its landscapes with the very real risks it conceals. It is an education in humility, one that insists upon vigilance, curiosity, and respect. Explorers, scientists, and wanderers all find themselves transformed by this encounter, forever aware of the delicate balance between wonder and peril. As part one of our journey concludes, the frozen frontiers reveal themselves as both a sanctuary and a warning. They invite us to marvel at the beauty of the Earth's extremes, while reminding us that beneath every serene expanse lies untold power, awaiting the moment it may stir. In the Arctic, silence is never empty. It is alive with possibility, history, and latent energy, a prelude to the hidden fires and explosive phenomena that await deeper exploration in the chapters to come. Beneath the Arctic's tranquil white surface lies a secret world, invisible yet immensely powerful. The ice conceals layers of frozen earth, frozen oceans, and, most dangerously, trapped gases that have accumulated over millennia. Chief among them is methane, a silent, volatile force stored under pressure in pockets beneath permafrost and seabed. This gas, invisible to the eye, is a sleeping giant. It holds the potential to reshape landscapes and ignite fires in places where fire should not exist. To stand on the Arctic ice is to walk above a tension so profound that the frozen land feels alive, almost sentient, as if aware of the dormant fury beneath. Methane is formed slowly, patiently, over thousands of years. Organic matter, plants, animals, and microscopic life decompose under anaerobic conditions, trapped in soil and sediment, unable to fully decay. The cold of the Arctic preserves this matter, sealing it in layers of ice and sediment, gradually compressing it into reservoirs of potent gas. This process is slow, deliberate, and hidden, invisible to all except the scientists who study it. They speak of it in precise, almost reverent terms, aware that the very ground beneath their feet could, under certain conditions, awaken with a sudden violent energy. The ice, for all its serene beauty, is a fragile lid, holding back forces that are patient, enduring, and indifferent. Underwater, the dynamics are even more dramatic. Methane hydrates, a crystalline form where methane molecules are trapped in ice, create deposits that look solid but can release gas, explosively if destabilized. A warming current, a shift in sediment, or a minor tectonic tremor can trigger a chain reaction. Gas bubbles rise through cold Arctic waters, shimmering and twisting in the faint light, carrying with them the potential for combustion. In some instances, this methane can ignite spontaneously when it reaches the surface, producing flames that dance atop icy waters in a spectacle at once beautiful and terrifying. The paradox is striking. Fire existing atop the frozen, silent ocean, a reminder that the Arctic is far from inert. Explorers and scientists who venture into these regions describe an almost sacred caution. Observing methane fields is not simply an act of documentation. It is a negotiation with a force that refuses to be controlled. Measurements are taken carefully, instruments placed with precision, and yet the landscape remains unpredictable. One cannot fully comprehend the scale of what lies beneath the ice until gas seeps unexpectedly, bubbling through fractures or erupting in minor, almost imperceptible releases. The Arctic hides its power patiently, but it is never absent. It waits, a quiet reminder of the immense energy stored just out of sight. The presence of methane beneath the Arctic is not only a local phenomenon, it has global implications. As temperatures rise and permafrost thaws, the potential for these gases to escape increases dramatically. Each release adds to the greenhouse effect, contributing to warming that, in turn, threatens more methane reservoirs. It is a feedback loop, subtle at first, but capable of accelerating with frightening speed. The Arctic, serene and timeless on the surface, becomes a theater for planetary-scale processes, reminding us that hidden forces beneath ice can ripple outward, impacting climates, oceans, and life far beyond the frozen frontier. Documented incidents hint at the Arctic's latent power. Scientists have observed methane plumes erupting from the seabed, sometimes reaching tens of meters in height, disrupting water currents and producing chemical reactions that change local ecosystems. In some cases, bubbles ignite at the surface, creating fire ice phenomena that seem surreal flames licking through a frozen ocean, ephemeral and unpredictable. These events are rare but serve as warnings. Beneath the calm and cold lies energy that does not forgive error or underestimate human presence. Each plume, each flicker of flame, is a reminder that the Arctic is a crucible of forces we are only beginning to understand. In the end, the hidden fires beneath the Arctic ice are as poetic as they are perilous. They represent the intersection of time, biology, and geology, a slow accumulation of energy that, when released, can produce spectacles of fire and destruction beyond imagination. Standing above these frozen reservoirs, one feels a mixture of awe and unease, realizing that the serene surface of ice is but a fragile mask. The Arctic, in its silent patience, teaches that the most profound power often lies unseen, waiting for the right conditions to make itself known. The Arctic's hidden methane reserves are not uniform. They exist in intricate patterns, shaped by geology, ice, and time. Some deposits lie in permafrost, trapped within frozen soil that stretches hundreds of meters thick. Others rest beneath the seabed, stabilized by icy hydrates that appear solid yet conceal immense volatility. To map them is to confront uncertainty. Sensors and drilling equipment can detect concentrations, but the sheer scale of the frozen expanse makes certainty impossible. Every measurement is a snapshot in time, a fleeting glimpse of a system in constant, imperceptible motion. Scientists approach these areas with a mixture of awe and caution, aware that each step could disturb a delicate balance maintained for millennia. These methane fields are not just scientific curiosities, they are time capsules. Each pocket holds the remnants of ancient ecosystems, preserving the organic matter of forests, tundra, and wetlands long buried beneath ice. By studying these reservoirs, researchers can reconstruct past climates, charting the rise and fall of temperatures, precipitation, and plant life over thousands of years. In this way, the Arctic serves as both laboratory and archive, revealing the interplay between biology, geology, and chemistry in ways that are invisible to the naked eye. Yet these frozen histories are alive with potential energy. To touch them, even indirectly, is to connect with forces that span deep time, forces that have shaped, and may continue to shape, the world above the ice. Water itself plays a subtle, vital role in this hidden drama. As ice melts, it infiltrates sediment layers, destabilizing methane hydrates and increasing the risk of gas release. Submarine permafrost, long considered stable, is now showing signs of thawing as ocean currents shift and temperatures rise. These changes are gradual, almost imperceptible, yet they carry profound consequences. A single destabilized hydrate can release millions of cubic meters of methane, forming plumes that rise through frigid waters like ghostly pillars. The process is invisible to those on the surface, but it is potent, a hidden energy that waits patiently for conditions to align. The consequences of an unexpected release are both local and global. In the immediate vicinity, gas bubbles can disrupt water density, alter currents, and create conditions that are lethal to marine life. In extreme cases, methane reaching the atmosphere ignites spontaneously, producing fire above water in stark defiance of expectation. This juxtaposition, flames dancing atop a frozen sea, is a surreal testament to the Arctic's latent power. Beyond the local spectacle, methane contributes to the greenhouse effect, amplifying warming and potentially triggering further releases in a feedback loop. What seems like a distant, isolated phenomenon is in truth a force with the capacity to influence climate on a planetary scale. Explorers who witness these phenomena describe a mixture of terror and wonder. Observing methane plumes rise through ice-choked waters, sometimes catching fire, challenges the perception of the Arctic as static or benign. Each release is unpredictable, a reminder that beneath the frozen calm lies a restless system, accumulating and storing energy beyond human control. Instruments, cameras, and sensors document these events, but no technology can fully capture the visceral sense of awe of standing above a place where fire and ice coexist, where the surface conceals forces vast and ancient. The Arctic's hidden fires also inspire reflection. They remind us that the Earth is not inert, that beneath its serene facade lie mechanisms of immense power, shaped by eons of natural processes. Methane, buried for millennia, is a literal manifestation of the planet's patience, waiting silently to respond to changes in temperature, pressure, or human interference. Its presence challenges the notion of permanence. Even landscapes that appear timeless are dynamic, their stability conditional, their potential energy immense. For scientists, adventurers, and dreamers alike, these hidden reserves are a lesson in respect, humility, and the astonishing complexity of the world beneath the ice. The processes that trap methane beneath the Arctic ice are deceptively slow, yet astonishingly powerful. Over thousands of years, organic material decomposes in oxygen-free environments, producing methane that migrates upward until it is sealed by layers of frozen soil, ice, or hydrate. This creates pockets of gas under pressure, sometimes extending for kilometers beneath the surface. Though invisible, the potential energy contained within these reservoirs is immense. It is a reminder that the Arctic is not merely a frozen wasteland, but a dynamic, complex system, capable of storing and releasing forces that can shape the landscape and even influence global climate. Submarine methane hydrates, crystalline structures that lock methane within ice, are particularly volatile. They exist in equilibrium with temperature and pressure. Slight changes can trigger destabilization. As currents warm or sediments shift, These hydrates may begin to break down, releasing gas in a process both silent and relentless. Rising bubbles twist and shimmer as they ascend, interacting with the frigid water and ice, creating optical illusions of fire and movement beneath the frozen surface. Observing this phenomenon, scientists are struck by its surreal beauty, an underwater ballet of ice, water, and gas, reminding all who witness it that danger and wonder often coexist in perfect balance. The Arctic is vast, and methane pockets are not evenly distributed. Geological features, past glacial activity, and sediment composition dictate where these reserves form. Some are concentrated along continental shelves, others buried deep within permafrost. Mapping them is a challenge, requiring satellites, sonar, and careful drilling. Even with these tools, certainty is impossible. Each reading is temporary, each measurement a snapshot of a shifting system. This unpredictability adds a layer of tension to scientific exploration. Those who study the Arctic must constantly reconcile data with observation, theory with uncertainty, knowledge with humility. What makes methane particularly formidable is its energy potential. When released into the atmosphere, it is far more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, amplifying warming and accelerating permafrost thaw in a feedback loop. When ignited, it produces fire in a place where fire seems impossible, above frozen seas and ice-crusted fjords. Witnessing flames erupt from water is an experience both terrifying and mesmerizing, a vivid reminder that the Arctic is a realm where natural laws appear in strange, unexpected ways. It is a world that challenges human perception, forcing reconsideration of what is possible in a place defined by extremes. Even small releases have consequences. Methane plumes alter water density, affect currents, and impact marine ecosystems, demonstrating that the hidden fires beneath ice are not abstract phenomena. They are active forces shaping life itself. Larger events, rare but documented, have produced violent bursts, sending water and gas into chaotic displays, transforming sections of ocean into temporary theaters of fire and ice. These events, captured on film and measured by instruments, serve as warnings. The Arctic's serenity is deceptive, its calmness a fragile mask over immense, latent power. Yet amid this latent danger lies a strange poetry. The hidden fires beneath ice are not only destructive, they are mesmerizing, even sublime. Gas bubbles rise like spectral pillars, glinting in the muted light, hinting at the immense forces trapped just below. The Arctic, in its frozen stillness, teaches that power is not always visible, that the most profound forces are often hidden, patient, and waiting. Observers describe a mixture of awe and apprehension, recognizing that the beauty of these phenomena is inseparable from their potential for catastrophe. This duality, the coexistence of danger and wonder, defines the Arctic. To witness the hidden fires beneath the ice is to confront the essence of the frozen frontier, a place where time is measured in millennia, where energy is stored in silence, and where the potential for sudden, breathtaking transformation is always present. Methane may lie dormant for centuries, yet when released, it reminds us that the Arctic is alive, patient, and profoundly powerful. A world where the surface calm conceals forces that can ignite both imagination and destruction. Even the most advanced technology cannot fully tame the Arctic's hidden fires. Scientists rely on remote sensors, drilling rigs, and submersibles to detect and monitor methane reserves, but every measurement is provisional. The ice, the seabed, and the permafrost are in constant, imperceptible motion. Temperature fluctuations, subtle shifts in sediment, and the pressure of overlying ice can all trigger the release of gas. In this environment, control is an illusion. Observation is the closest humans can come to understanding the Arctic's hidden power. Every expedition is a negotiation with forces both patient and indifferent, a reminder that the land beneath the ice has its own rhythm, one that does not bend to human will. The formation of methane hydrates is a slow, delicate process. Water molecules form cages around methane molecules, creating ice-like crystals that appear solid, but are, in fact, metastable. They can persist for thousands of years under the right pressure and temperature conditions. Yet minor disturbances can unleash gas in dramatic fashion. Rising plumes bubble through Arctic waters, reflecting light and forming transient, shimmering structures beneath the ice. In some cases, these bubbles reach the surface, igniting spontaneously and creating fire above water, a surreal and terrifying display. Such events are rare, but they reveal the Arctic's duality, a world that is simultaneously serene and volatile, beautiful and dangerous. Methane's impact extends beyond the immediate environment. When released into the atmosphere, it contributes disproportionately to global warming, far more potent than carbon dioxide over the short term. This accelerates permafrost thaw, destabilizing more hydrates and creating a feedback loop that magnifies the risk of further release. The Arctic, seemingly remote and isolated, is inextricably connected to the broader climate system. Its hidden fires are not just local phenomena. They are agents of change with global consequences, capable of altering weather, ecosystems, and the trajectory of planetary warming. Human encounters with these phenomena are a mixture of caution and fascination. Scientists aboard research vessels observe plumes rising through frigid waters, documenting each release with cameras and sensors. The spectacle is mesmerizing. Methane bubbles twist and shimmer, reflecting light in a kaleidoscope of patterns, while the surrounding ice remains stark and still. To witness fire atop frozen water is to confront the unimaginable, a contradiction of nature's fundamental rules, where cold and heat, stability and eruption coexist in delicate balance. The Arctic teaches humility in the face of such forces. Here, knowledge is incomplete, and the margin for error is narrow. The hidden fires also reveal the interconnectedness of Earth's systems. Geological processes, biological decay, and climatic conditions combine to produce methane fields. While their release influences atmospheric chemistry, ocean currents, and ecosystem stability, the Arctic is not a passive backdrop, but an active participant in global cycles. Understanding its hidden fires is not merely an academic exercise, it is an imperative, a way to anticipate potential hazards and to grasp the profound complexity of a world where forces of ice and gas, cold and fire, interact with precision and subtlety. Yet there is poetry in this peril. Methane rising through ice-choked waters, igniting in sudden bursts, illustrates the paradox of the Arctic. Beauty and danger entwined, calm and violence inseparable. Each plume is a reminder that the most powerful forces often lie unseen, accumulating energy patiently, awaiting conditions that allow their expression. The Arctic, in its frozen patience, is both a teacher and a warning, a testament to the resilience of natural systems and the precariousness of human presence atop them. In contemplating these hidden fires, one recognizes the fragile boundary between stability and eruption. The Arctic, pristine and silent from above, conceals forces that have been shaping the planet long before humans walked its surface. Methane hydrates, permafrost reserves, and subterranean gas pockets are silent witnesses to time, patience, and energy, waiting for triggers that may or may not come. The Arctic's hidden fires are not merely scientific phenomena. They are reminders that beneath calm surfaces, immense power is always possible, and that the frozen frontier, though beautiful, is never entirely at rest. As one delves deeper into the Arctic, it becomes clear that methane is both a relic of the past and a warning for the future. These hidden reserves have been accumulating silently for thousands of years, formed by processes beyond human influence. Yet their potential release is intimately tied to changes wrought by human activity. Rising temperatures, shifting ocean currents, and the gradual thawing of permafrost are no longer distant possibilities. They are realities that increase the likelihood of these ancient gases awakening. The Arctic, serene and seemingly immutable, is a delicate system, balanced on the edge between dormancy and eruption. Scientists describe the release of methane as both mesmerizing and terrifying. In underwater plumes, gas ascends through icy waters like ghostly pillars, refracting light and creating ephemeral illusions of fire beneath the surface. Occasionally, when methane reaches the atmosphere, it ignites spontaneously, producing flames that dance atop frozen seas in a scene that seems both alien and primordial. To witness this is to confront the duality of nature, a place that nurtures life while simultaneously harboring forces capable of instantaneous destruction. The hidden fires beneath the ice are not malevolent. They are indifferent, patient, and inevitable, reminding observers of the scale and complexity of the Arctic system. Methane's threat extends beyond the immediate spectacle. Its release exacerbates global warming, contributing to a feedback loop that accelerates permafrost thaw and destabilizes additional gas reserves. The Arctic, in this sense, is both sentinel and amplifier, a region where small changes can cascade into far-reaching consequences. Understanding these dynamics is crucial, not only for scientific inquiry, but for humanity's broader comprehension of climate systems. The frozen frontier, with its hidden fires, becomes a lens through which we see the fragility of stability and the urgency of awareness. Human exploration of these zones requires meticulous care. Researchers navigate icy waters, drill permafrost cores, and deploy sensors, all while cognizant that the ground beneath may shift or give way. Each measurement, each observation, is a careful negotiation with nature. The Arctic demands respect, patience, and humility. Those who underestimate it risk more than failure. They risk lives. Yet it is precisely this danger that imparts a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of Earth's systems. Methane is a link between geology, biology, and climate, a reminder that beneath seemingly inert surfaces, energy waits to shape the world. Despite the risks, there is undeniable beauty in these phenomena. Rising gas bubbles shimmer like liquid prisms, ice fractures reflect fleeting light, and spontaneous bursts of flame illuminate the frozen seascape in ephemeral brilliance. These events, rare and unpredictable, are reminders that the Arctic is alive in ways invisible from the surface. Its hidden fires are not chaotic. They are the natural expression of energy accumulated over millennia, released in accordance with physical laws that are both precise and awe-inspiring. To witness them is to glimpse a theater of nature where fire and ice coexist in astonishing equilibrium. Ultimately, the hidden fires beneath the Arctic ice are both metaphor and reality. They symbolize the dormant power of nature, the fragility of human understanding, and the delicate balance between beauty and danger. The Arctic is not merely a frozen wilderness. It is a dynamic system, alive with energy, memory, and potential. To study it, to witness it, is to confront forces that span millennia, to engage with energy that has waited patiently beneath ice for ages, and to recognize that the calm surface of this world conceals a restless, potent interior. As Part 5 concludes, the Arctic's hidden fires leave us with a mixture of awe and apprehension. They are a prelude to the spectacular interactions of fire and ice, a warning and a wonder. Beneath the silent, frozen surface lies a dynamic, potent world, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. The Arctic, patient and immense, teaches that beneath every serene landscape, unseen forces are at work, and that understanding them is as vital as it is humbling. In the Arctic, fire and ice are not opposites, they are intimate partners, locked in a surreal, unpredictable dance. Beneath the frozen seas, methane bubbles rise like invisible specters, shimmering against the frigid waters. When they reach the surface, they sometimes ignite, producing flames that leap atop ice-choked oceans. The scene is both beautiful and terrifying. Fire licking the frozen expanse, ephemeral yet commanding, a reminder that this world defies ordinary expectations. In these moments, the Arctic sheds its apparent stillness, revealing itself as a theater of forces at once delicate and violent, where every spark and ripple tells a story of energy trapped and released across millennia. The chemistry of these interactions is as precise as it is dramatic. Methane, released from destabilized permafrost or hydrates, meets cold, oxygenated water, forming rising columns of bubbles. If conditions align, friction or atmospheric contact ignites the gas, producing fire that dances across the surface of ice. Scientists have recorded these phenomena in remote areas, documenting bursts that last seconds or minutes but leave indelible impressions on those who witness them. It is a spectacle of paradox, a flame, transient and warm, set against a backdrop of ice, frigid water, and the endless expanse of white. It defies intuition, demanding reverence and caution in equal measure. Explorers who witness the dance of ice and flame often speak of it in almost reverential tones. Cameras and instruments capture the physical details, the height of the flames, the size of the plumes, the temperature differentials, but they cannot capture the emotional weight of standing in a place where fire and ice coexist. The mind struggles to reconcile what is seen with what is known. The human expectation of separation between heat and cold, shattered by a phenomenon that is at once scientific and poetic. Each ignition, each flicker, is a reminder of the Arctic's capacity for beauty and danger, a spectacle that exists beyond human control or full understanding. The landscapes themselves amplify the effect. Cracked ice, jagged ridges, and frozen waters provide a stage for the flames to appear more surreal. Sunlight refracts through ice crystals, scattering rainbows over the ephemeral fire. Shadows lengthen across snowdrifts, adding depth and drama to the scene. The Arctic becomes a living canvas, where natural forces paint in extremes, and human observers are merely witnesses to the interplay of elements that have existed long before our presence. In this world, aesthetics and science intertwine seamlessly. Beauty informs danger, and danger informs awe. Underwater, the dance continues in ways hidden from the casual eye. Methane bubbles rise through frigid depths, twisting in currents and refracting light in patterns that are almost hypnotic. The cold water delays the release of energy, storing it until it emerges at the surface in bursts of flame. Submerged ice formations, sculpted by glaciers and currents, channel these plumes unpredictably, creating patterns and eruptions that seem choreographed yet are entirely natural. For scientists studying these phenomena, the spectacle is both a challenge and a revelation, a chance to observe the invisible processes that govern the Arctic's hidden power, translated into moments of visible drama. The danger is never far removed from the beauty. Fire above ice is unstable. Sudden eruptions of gas can ignite unpredictably, sending flames higher than anticipated. Waves, ice shifts, and temperature changes all influence outcomes, ensuring that each observation carries risk. Explorers and researchers navigate these conditions with caution, using experience, intuition, and technology to remain safe while bearing witness to forces that are both mesmerizing and unforgiving. Here, the Arctic teaches a fundamental truth. Awe and respect are inseparable, and understanding comes not from control, but from careful observation. Yet, amid this danger, there is a profound lesson in resilience. Life in the Arctic has adapted to extremes in ways that mirror these interactions of ice and flame. Microbial communities thrive in sediment layers rich with methane. Marine species navigate currents disrupted by rising bubbles, and even the ice itself responds to subtle environmental cues. The dance of fire and ice is not merely spectacle, it is a dynamic system, a complex network of interactions that demonstrates the Arctic's vitality, energy, and adaptability. Observing it is to witness the raw interplay of nature, where beauty, science, and risk converge in perfect, fleeting harmony. The dance of ice and flame is a symphony of contrast, where every element responds to the others in subtle, sometimes violent ways. Methane, imprisoned for millennia beneath layers of permafrost or icy seabed, rises unpredictably, forming ephemeral columns that twist and shimmer through frigid waters. When these bubbles breach the surface, their energy is released in bursts of fire, ephemeral yet intense, illuminating a frozen world that otherwise seems motionless. To witness this is to feel the Arctic's hidden heartbeat, a pulse of power and beauty that challenges every expectation of what a frozen wilderness can contain. The spectacle is heightened by the interplay of light and ice. Sunlight reflects off crystalline surfaces, refracting in thousands of directions, scattering colors across snowfields and frozen waters. Shadows shift and stretch across jagged ice ridges, creating a stage upon which flames dance like ethereal performers. Even during the long Arctic night, the faint glow of the aurora can complement the flames, blending fire with cosmic light in a tableau that feels both timeless and fragile. In these moments, the observer becomes acutely aware of the Arctic's duality: serene yet volatile, beautiful yet dangerous, quiet yet full of latent energy. Beneath the water, the dynamics are even more intricate. Methane bubbles interact with cold currents, twisting and refracting, forming ephemeral shapes that seem almost deliberate in their choreography. Submerged ice ridges and glacial formations create channels that guide these plumes unpredictably, producing eruptions that emerge at the surface with sudden intensity. The energy is ancient, stored patiently over millennia, and released in moments that combine precision with chaos. Scientists studying these events are struck not only by the spectacle, but by the message it conveys. The Arctic is alive in ways unseen, a system that stores power patiently until circumstances allow it to manifest. The unpredictability of these fires is part of their haunting appeal. No instrument can fully forecast where and when a plume will ignite. The landscape itself shifts subtly underfoot. Permafrost trembles, ice cracks, and currents shift, each alteration capable of triggering the release of methane. Human observers are forced to approach with caution, respecting forces far beyond their control. Every measurement, every observation, is an exercise in humility, a recognition that the Arctic's hidden fires are both natural and indifferent, responding only to the immutable laws of physics. This phenomenon also reveals the delicate balance of ecosystems. Rising methane plumes can affect water density, altering currents and impacting marine life. Fires that erupt atop ice are fleeting, yet they disturb local conditions, reminding us that energy stored in one place can ripple outward with consequences both subtle and profound. The Arctic is not static. Its beauty is intertwined with latent danger, and its stillness is a veneer that conceals processes with global significance. Every eruption of fire is a lesson in interconnectivity, a reminder that even the most remote and seemingly isolated systems are linked to the wider dynamics of the planet. Observers often describe the scene as simultaneously terrifying and awe-inspiring. Fire dancing atop frozen water defies logic, yet it is entirely natural. Flames twist and flare, their warmth an illusion against the frigid environment, creating a surreal spectacle that lingers in memory long after the event ends. To stand in proximity to such events is to confront the Arctic's contradictions, a land of extremes where stillness coexists with sudden, spectacular expression, and where the visible and invisible combine in ways that challenge perception. Yet, amid the drama, there is subtle poetry. Each flame, each bubble, is a narrative of patience and release, a testament to forces accumulated over millennia. Fire and ice coexist in a delicate equilibrium, reminding us that nature's power is often hidden, waiting for precise conditions to manifest. The Arctic, in these moments, teaches that understanding comes not from domination, but from careful observation, respect, and attunement to the rhythms of a world far older and more complex than our own. The spectacle of fire atop ice is only one manifestation of the Arctic's hidden dynamism. Beneath the frozen surface, complex interactions between temperature, pressure, and chemical composition determine when and how methane is released. Subtle shifts in ocean currents or permafrost structure can destabilize hydrates, sending bubbles racing toward the surface. Each plume is a narrative of forces that have been building for thousands of years, a release of energy that is both natural and profound. The unpredictability is part of the Arctic's enduring mystery, reminding observers that control is an illusion in a world dominated by time, geology, and elemental power. The ice itself participates in this dance. Cracks, ridges, and pressure points guide the emergence of methane, creating patterns that can magnify or dampen the energy released. Glacial formations act as conduits or barriers, directing rising gas in ways that are sometimes predictable but often astonishingly erratic. Observers note the almost choreographed movement of flames across frozen water, yet each display is a product of natural law, not design. The Arctic is both stage and performer, its landscape actively shaping the behavior of forces hidden beneath the surface. Light transforms the experience into something almost surreal. The low sun casts long shadows over ice fields, exaggerating the scale of ridges and fractures, while fire bursts illuminate patterns invisible in normal daylight. Snow and ice refract the light, scattering colors and creating reflections that seem otherworldly. Even in darkness, the aurora can mingle with the ephemeral flames, blending cosmic and terrestrial energy in a display that is both ethereal and grounding. Observers are reminded that beauty and danger are inseparable here. To marvel at the spectacle is also to respect its power. The danger is tangible. Fire above ice is inherently unstable, and sudden bursts of methane can create unpredictable flames. Currents can shift rapidly, and ice itself may fracture beneath the pressure, producing hazardous conditions for those observing from nearby. The Arctic demands vigilance, patience, and humility. Scientists and explorers alike know that a single misjudgment can lead to disaster, yet the imperative to witness, to understand, drives them forward. Observation becomes an act of courage, an exercise in careful negotiation with forces far older and more patient than humanity. Ecosystems are subtly shaped by these interactions. Rising methane alters water density and temperature, affecting marine life from plankton to fish. Occasional fire events disrupt surface conditions, while underwater plumes influence chemical composition in ways that ripple through the food chain. Even the ice itself responds, melting and refreezing in response to thermal fluctuations. This delicate interplay illustrates the Arctic as a complex, living system where fire and ice are not anomalies, but integral components of an ecosystem that balances energy, time, and life in extraordinary ways. Witnessing this phenomenon provokes reflection. Fire above frozen water defies instinct, yet it is a natural expression of energy accumulated over millennia. The Arctic reveals itself as a realm of extremes, a place where stability is conditional and beauty is inseparable from danger. Observers are left humbled, aware that human presence is brief and fragile, yet grateful for the opportunity to witness forces that are both timeless and immediate. Each flame is a reminder that nature operates on scales and timelines far beyond human comprehension, and that awe is inseparable from respect. Ultimately, the dance of ice and flame is a meditation on power, patience, and transformation. Methane, trapped for thousands of years, rises through icy waters, igniting in moments of fleeting brilliance, illustrating the Arctic's capacity for both creation and destruction. It is a phenomenon that demands observation, respect, and wonder, a visceral lesson in the complexity of a frozen world where hidden energy is ever present, waiting for the conditions to reveal itself. The Arctic, in these moments becomes a living narrative, a story written in ice, gas, and flame, inviting all who bear witness to contemplate the intricate balance of forces that shape our planet. The Arctic's dance of ice and flame is not merely a spectacle, it is a lesson in balance, tension, and the latent energy that underpins seemingly static landscapes. Beneath the frozen surface, methane reservoirs wait in patient silence, stabilized for millennia by permafrost and hydrate formations. Yet these reservoirs are fragile, responsive to subtle changes in temperature, pressure, and sediment structure. When destabilized, they produce plumes of gas that rise through icy waters, sometimes igniting upon contact with the atmosphere, producing a startling vision of fire atop frozen seas. In this interplay of elements, the Arctic teaches that power is often hidden, patient, and revealed only under precise conditions. Observing these events requires vigilance. Fire above ice is unpredictable, capable of flaring suddenly, shifting with currents, or disappearing as swiftly as it appeared. Ice cracks, wind shifts, and water temperatures fluctuate, all contributing to the uncertainty of each display. Scientists and explorers navigate these conditions with extreme care, measuring, recording, and interpreting, yet always aware that observation is no substitute for respect. The Arctic does not yield its secrets lightly. It requires patience, humility, and a willingness to witness forces far older and larger than oneself. The aesthetics of the phenomenon are undeniable. Methane bubbles refract light underwater, twisting and turning in currents, creating fleeting shapes that shimmer with a spectral glow. Flames that erupt above ice dance in stark contrast to the frozen landscape, their warmth illusory yet commanding. Snowfields and ice ridges reflect and scatter light, exaggerating shadows and adding depth to the spectacle. Even in darkness, the aurora can mingle with the flames, blending cosmic energy with terrestrial expression in a display that feels both surreal and intimate. Each eruption becomes a fleeting artwork of nature, ephemeral yet unforgettable. Beneath this beauty lies consequence. Rising methane alters water density, influencing currents and marine life. When released into the atmosphere, methane contributes significantly to global warming, accelerating permafrost thaw and destabilizing additional reserves, a feedback loop with global implications. The Arctic is not isolated. Its hidden fires connect to planetary systems, illustrating that even remote, extreme environments are integral to the balance of the Earth. The flames above ice are both spectacular and portentous, a visible marker of processes that are largely invisible, yet profoundly influential. The dance of ice and flame also illuminates the resilience of life in extreme environments. Microbial communities thrive in methane-rich sediments, marine species navigate shifting currents, and ice itself responds dynamically to subtle thermal changes. This interplay underscores the Arctic's status not as a static wasteland, but as a dynamic, interconnected system. Fire and ice, danger and beauty, risk and survival exist in delicate equilibrium, shaping landscapes and ecosystems in ways that are both subtle and profound. Observers gain insight not only into the mechanics of methane release, but into the broader narrative of adaptation and persistence in one of Earth's most extreme environments. Yet there is a psychological and philosophical dimension to these phenomena. Witnessing fire atop frozen water challenges perception, forcing a confrontation with nature's contradictions. It is both awe-inspiring and humbling, a reminder that human expectations often falter in the face of raw planetary forces. Each ignition is a lesson in unpredictability, patience, and respect, a fleeting yet profound meditation on the scale, energy, and interconnectivity of the Arctic system. In these moments, the frozen world is not passive. It is active, communicative, and profoundly alive. Ultimately, the dance of ice and flame is a narrative of energy in motion. Methane, accumulated over millennia, rises and ignites, transforming frozen seascapes into fleeting theaters of fire. The Arctic becomes both stage and performer, revealing its hidden power and sublime beauty simultaneously. To witness this phenomenon is to engage with the planet on its own terms, to appreciate forces that are ancient, immense, and unpredictable, and to recognize that in the Arctic, even stillness is alive with possibility. As the Arctic's hidden fires reveal themselves, one begins to understand the profound duality of this frozen world. Ice, which seems permanent and unyielding, is both protector and participant. It shields the methane reservoirs below, stabilizing them for millennia. Yet it also guides and channels their release, determining how and where energy will emerge. When the gas escapes and ignites atop the frozen seas, it transforms the landscape into a fleeting, otherworldly theater, a place where extremes coexist, and where the raw power of nature is as visible as it is unpredictable. The human experience in these moments is inseparable from the environment. Observers are enveloped by the Arctic's stark contrasts: the biting cold of ice, the ephemeral warmth of flame, the endless whiteness of snow juxtaposed against flickering light. Each eruption of methane and fire is a reminder of scale, of how small human presence is compared to forces built over millennia. It is a humbling confrontation, yet one that inspires awe and reverence. To witness the dance of ice and flame is to stand at the intersection of beauty, danger, and time, to feel intimately connected to a world that operates on a rhythm older and larger than oneself. Scientific observation is inseparable from this emotional reality. Researchers carefully record data bubble sizes, flame heights, water temperatures, chemical composition, but these measurements capture only part of the story. The Arctic's theater cannot be fully quantified. Each event carries unpredictability, reminding humans that the planet's processes are patient and immense, governed by natural law rather than human expectation. The spectacle of fire on ice is both demonstration and warning, illustrating the latent power of methane reservoirs and the consequences of environmental change in a tangible, unforgettable way. The interaction of fire and ice also reveals the Arctic's role in planetary systems. Rising methane contributes to atmospheric warming, accelerating permafrost thaw and potentially destabilizing additional reservoirs, a feedback loop with global consequences. Local ecosystems are affected as well. Rising bubbles alter water density and currents, influencing marine life, while thermal anomalies impact ice formation and melt patterns. These processes, while largely hidden, demonstrate the interconnectedness of the Arctic with the wider Earth system. Fire and ice, seemingly isolated phenomena, are in fact integral threads in a complex planetary tapestry. There is a poetic rhythm to these moments. Flames twist and flicker over frozen waters. Bubbles refract light underwater. Ice ridges cast dramatic shadows, and the aurora may shimmer above, blending celestial and terrestrial light. It is a scene both ephemeral and eternal, a visual and emotional metaphor for forces accumulated over time, released in fleeting brilliance. Observers cannot help but reflect on the patience of nature, the hidden power beneath apparent stillness, and the delicate balance that sustains extreme environments. The Arctic teaches that power and beauty often coexist, that understanding requires humility, and that witnessing these forces is both a privilege and a responsibility. Ultimately, the final lesson of this chapter is one of respect and awareness. The dance of ice and flame is not merely a spectacle. It is an embodiment of the Arctic's complexity, resilience, and latent power. Methane may lie dormant for centuries, but when conditions align, it can ignite in moments of extraordinary beauty and danger. Fire and ice coexist here in delicate equilibrium, a living narrative of energy, time, and transformation. To observe it is to glimpse the Arctic in its fullest expression, a world where extremes meet, where calm and chaos intertwine, and where the hidden forces of the planet reveal themselves in both subtle and spectacular ways. The Arctic's hidden fires are not merely spectacular. They are harbingers of potential catastrophe. Methane, stored beneath permafrost and icy seabeds for millennia, is a force of both creation and destruction. When destabilized, it can erupt with astonishing power, transforming placid frozen waters into violent theaters of fire and gas. These cataclysms are not random accidents of nature. They are the culmination of geological, chemical, and climatic forces acting over vast spans of time. To witness one is to confront the raw energy of a world in motion, a reminder that beneath the serene Arctic exterior lies a system of immense, unpredictable potency. The mechanisms of methane cataclysm are deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful. As permafrost thaws or underwater hydrates destabilize, gas accumulates until it finds an escape path, often through cracks, fissures, or weak sediment. Once released, the gas rises rapidly through icy waters, forming columns that distort the flow of currents and displace marine life. In some cases, ignition occurs spontaneously, producing explosive bursts of flame that leap atop frozen seas or vent violently into the atmosphere. Each event is a collision of time, pressure, and chemical energy, a moment where millennia of patience are expressed in seconds of sheer intensity. These cataclysms are inherently unpredictable. Even the most detailed mapping and monitoring cannot guarantee foresight. Scientists observe the subtle signs: minor sediment shifts, increased gas concentrations, small releases that precede larger eruptions. Yet the Arctic operates on scales of time and energy that challenge human expectation. What seems stable can become volatile in moments, a reminder that power often accumulates invisibly and is released only when the environment permits. This unpredictability makes the study of methane cataclysms both thrilling and perilous. Local effects of a release are immediate and dramatic. Water is displaced, bubbles rise violently, and currents are altered, affecting fish, plankton, and other marine life. Ice can fracture, producing hazardous conditions on the surface, while fire may leap across frozen waters, consuming oxygen in pockets and creating conditions that are both surreal and dangerous. Observers are forced to negotiate these extremes, balancing the need for scientific understanding with the imperative of personal safety. In these moments, the Arctic reminds humanity that even seemingly remote landscapes are governed by forces beyond human control. The global implications are profound. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, far more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide over short periods. A single large release can accelerate warming, destabilize additional reservoirs, and trigger feedback loops that amplify climate change. The Arctic, distant and silent from the perspective of most of the world, becomes an agent of planetary transformation. Its hidden cataclysms demonstrate that remote systems are never isolated. They are deeply interwoven with the climate, oceans, and atmospheric dynamics that sustain life across the globe. Witnessing a methane cataclysm is an experience of both awe and apprehension. Flames erupting atop frozen waters, plumes of gas twisting through icy seas, and the sudden violence of energy long trapped beneath the surface are moments that defy comprehension. Scientists describe a mixture of exhilaration and fear, the thrill of observation tempered by respect for the immense power at play. Every eruption carries lessons about patience, about the scale of natural systems, and about the delicate interplay between energy, matter, and environment in one of the planet's most extreme regions. Yet there is a strange poetry in these moments of destruction. The cataclysms are not chaotic in the human sense. They are expressions of accumulated energy following the immutable laws of physics and chemistry. Fire dances atop ice. Gas rises in twisting columns, and the frozen landscape, momentarily transformed, bears witness to processes shaped over millennia. Each event is fleeting, ephemeral, and powerful, a reminder that the Arctic is alive not only with visible beauty, but with latent forces capable of reshaping its own terrain and influencing global systems in ways that extend far beyond the frozen frontier. Ultimately, methane cataclysms are lessons in scale and humility. They illustrate the profound energy stored in seemingly inert environments and the delicate thresholds that govern release. The Arctic, patient and vast, contains power that is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a living archive of geological, chemical, and climatic history. To witness a cataclysm is to understand the duality of this world. Serene on the surface, volatile beneath, beautiful yet perilous, and intimately connected to the broader dynamics of the planet. The Arctic's methane cataclysms are not uniform events. Each eruption is shaped by the unique conditions of the permafrost, ice, and seabed. Some releases are sudden and violent, shooting flames and gas high into the air, while others are gradual, forming continuous plumes that seep into the ocean and atmosphere. The scale of these events varies immensely, from small localized bursts to massive eruptions, capable of displacing vast quantities of water and influencing weather patterns far beyond the Arctic Circle. What is constant, however, is the underlying principle. Energy, stored patiently for millennia, is released in moments of extraordinary intensity. The underwater dynamics are particularly complex. Methane hydrates, crystalline cages of gas trapped in ice, remain stable only under specific conditions of temperature and pressure. Even minor warming or sediment shifts can trigger their decomposition, sending bubbles racing through icy currents. These columns rise with astonishing force, twisting and refracting light, forming shapes that seem almost alive. If ignition occurs at the surface, the flames leap unpredictably across frozen water, a spectacle simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. The combination of fire and ice challenges perception, creating a scene that feels surreal yet entirely natural. Local ecosystems bear the immediate consequences of these releases. Rising methane alters water density and disrupts currents, affecting the distribution of plankton, fish, and other marine species. Thermal anomalies and sudden eruptions can fracture ice, endangering surface life and altering habitats. Even microbial communities in the sediment respond to the sudden availability of methane, adapting rapidly to the influx of energy. The Arctic is thus not passive during these events. It is responsive, dynamic, and alive with interaction, a complex system in which fire, ice, water, and life intersect in profound ways. The unpredictability of cataclysms adds a layer of tension for those observing them. Instruments can measure methane concentrations and detect subtle changes in ice and water, but no technology can fully predict the exact timing or magnitude of an eruption. Each event carries risk. Currents can shift suddenly, ice can fracture without warning, and rising gas may ignite spontaneously. Scientists must navigate these hazards with care, balancing the pursuit of knowledge with the reality of nature's immense and indifferent power. Observation becomes both art and science, requiring patience, skill, and humility. Beyond the local impact, methane cataclysms have global consequences. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, capable of amplifying warming in the atmosphere. Each release contributes to feedback loops that accelerate permafrost thaw and destabilize additional hydrates, compounding the risk of future cataclysms. The Arctic, though remote and often perceived as isolated, is intimately connected to planetary systems. Events occurring beneath ice and snow can ripple outward, influencing climate, oceans, and weather patterns thousands of miles away. The hidden fires of the Arctic are thus both local spectacles and agents of global change. Witnessing such an event is a profound experience. Flames erupting over frozen water, rising bubbles shimmering in frigid currents, and the sudden violence of gas release create a tableau of power and unpredictability. Scientists and explorers alike describe a mixture of fear, awe, and reverence, recognizing the fragility of human presence in the face of forces accumulated over millennia. Each eruption tells a story of energy, patience, and release, a reminder that the Arctic's apparent stillness conceals systems capable of reshaping landscapes and influencing the global environment. Even in their destructive potential, methane cataclysms hold a strange allure. They are expressions of natural law, not chaos. The gas rises, the fire ignites, the ice responds, all according to the physics and chemistry that govern the planet. Observers find themselves caught between admiration and apprehension, drawn to the spectacle while respecting its danger. In these moments, the Arctic is a teacher, revealing lessons in energy, time, and interconnection. Fire and ice, danger and beauty, local impact and global consequence are entwined in a single fleeting display. Ultimately, the lesson is one of perspective. Methane cataclysms are reminders that the Arctic is alive with hidden energy, capable of expressing forces that span millennia and continents. The frozen frontier is not inert. It is patient, dynamic, and potent. To observe these events is to witness the intersection of time, chemistry, and energy, and to recognize that even the most remote landscapes are deeply entwined with the fate of the planet. In the dance of fire and ice, the Arctic reveals both its beauty and its formidable power. The Arctic's methane cataclysms are not only sudden, they are profoundly transformative. A single large release can reshape the immediate environment, fracturing ice sheets, displacing water, and producing flames that leap unpredictably across frozen surfaces. Subtle changes in temperature, pressure, or sediment can turn a calm expanse of ice into a theater of elemental force. For those observing, the moment is overwhelming. Fire atop ice, water churned by rising gas, and the realization that centuries of energy, locked in frozen silence, can be expressed in seconds. Each eruption is a stark reminder of nature's patience and its capacity for dramatic, instantaneous transformation. Beneath the surface, the chemistry is intricate. Methane hydrates, crystalline cages of frozen gas, are stable only under precise conditions. Slight warming from ocean currents or shifts in overlying sediment can destabilize these structures, sending gas upwards with force. The bubbles twist and refract through frigid waters, interacting with ice ridges and submerged landscapes, creating patterns that seem almost choreographed. Scientists describe the phenomenon as both mesmerizing and unsettling. The underwater ballet is precise, yet the outcome is entirely dictated by natural law rather than human intervention. The cascading effects of cataclysms extend far beyond the site of release. Rising methane changes water density, alters currents, and disrupts the delicate balance of local marine ecosystems. Plankton and fish populations shift, microbial life adapts, and even the surface ice responds to thermal changes. Each eruption is a localized upheaval, yet it illustrates a broader truth. Energy accumulated over millennia has the power to reshape entire systems when released. In this way, the Arctic demonstrates that even remote, frozen landscapes are dynamic, responsive, and alive. Global consequences are equally profound. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, exponentially more effective than carbon dioxide over short timeframes. Large releases can amplify atmospheric warming, accelerating permafrost thaw and destabilizing additional reserves in a self-reinforcing cycle. The Arctic is both a witness to and driver of planetary change, demonstrating that no system is truly isolated. Fire erupting over ice is more than spectacle. It is an emblem of interconnected forces, where local events carry repercussions across oceans, continents, and climates. The human experience of observing these cataclysms is deeply affecting. Flames rising over frozen seas, bubbles shimmering through icy depths, and the sudden violence of gas release create an intense sensory experience. Scientists and explorers speak of awe tempered with fear, the thrill of witnessing forces so immense balanced against the humility of human vulnerability. Each eruption is a narrative of energy, time, and inevitability, a lesson in both the fragility and resilience of life in extreme environments. The Arctic teaches that observation requires respect, and understanding demands patience. Light and perception transform the underwater environment into a landscape both beautiful and surreal. Sunlight filtering through ice illuminates rising bubbles in prismatic arrays, twisting and shimmering as they ascend. Shadows from ice ridges stretch and distort across the seabed, while occasional surface fires punctuate the frozen landscape with fleeting brilliance. Observers are enveloped in a realm that feels simultaneously alien and familiar, a space where natural law manifests as both aesthetic poetry and elemental force. Beauty and danger coexist inseparably, reminding all who witness it that the Arctic is a world of contrasts, a place where extremes intersect. Ecosystems respond to the abyss's hidden forces with resilience and adaptation. Rising methane alters water density, redistributes currents, and subtly shifts marine populations. Microbes metabolize the gas, converting latent energy into sustenance, while fish and plankton navigate changing flows. Even the ice is transformed, melting and refreezing in response to thermal anomalies induced by gas release. The Arctic demonstrates that no component is isolated. Fire, ice, water, life, and chemistry are interdependent, part of an intricate network of dynamic processes that maintain the balance of extreme environments. The global significance of the methane abyss cannot be overstated. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas, and large-scale releases accelerate climate change, destabilizing additional hydrates and permafrost. Though remote, the Arctic acts as both indicator and agent of planetary transformation. Events in the methane abyss are therefore not only local spectacles but also signals of global consequence. The hidden fires beneath the ice reflect the delicate thresholds that govern energy release, offering a stark reminder of how even distant, isolated systems can shape the broader environment. Ultimately, the methane abyss is a lesson in scale, time, and interconnectedness. Each plume, each bubble, each eruption is a manifestation of energy accumulated over eons, expressed in moments of astonishing intensity. Fire atop frozen water, currents twisted by rising gas, and shifting ice formations reveal a world where stillness is an illusion and where latent energy is ever present. To witness it is to confront the immensity of natural processes, to recognize the fragility of human perspective, and to appreciate the delicate equilibrium that sustains the Arctic's hidden dynamism. As the exploration of the methane abyss continues, the Arctic reveals its capacity for sudden transformation. Beneath the frozen surface, methane hydrates remain stable only under precise conditions of pressure and temperature, a delicate balance maintained over millennia. When that balance is disturbed, even slightly, gas escapes in twisting columns that rise through frigid waters, displacing currents and altering the chemistry of the surrounding environment. Each plume is a story of patient energy, held in suspended tension, now manifesting as both spectacle and force. Observers cannot help but feel both awe and humility, aware that they are witnessing processes that operate on scales far beyond human perception. The visual drama beneath the ice is matched by the complexity of its mechanics. Methane bubbles refract light in intricate patterns, rising past sediment layers and interacting with submerged ice ridges. Currents are subtly redirected, and the water column is transformed in ways that ripple outward, influencing the behavior of marine organisms. Surface fires, when ignition occurs, leap unpredictably across frozen water, producing ephemeral displays that contrast starkly with the calm, white expanse of ice. The scene is simultaneously beautiful and perilous, a reminder that extreme environments communicate through both subtlety and intensity. Human engagement with the abyss is a negotiation between curiosity and caution. Researchers monitor temperature fluctuations, gas concentrations, and sediment stability, while remaining acutely aware of the potential for sudden release. Ice can fracture beneath weight or pressure, rising methane can ignite without warning, and currents can shift unexpectedly. Every observation is an exercise in vigilance, combining scientific rigor with respect for the unpredictable magnitude of natural forces. To study the methane abyss is to accept that mastery is impossible and that understanding comes through patient observation, careful measurement, and respect for the Arctic's inherent volatility. Ecosystems respond dynamically to these hidden processes. Methane alters water density, shifts nutrient flow, and changes the distribution of marine life. Microbes metabolize gas, sustaining themselves in extreme conditions, while fish and plankton navigate shifting currents. Ice responds, melting and refreezing in reaction to thermal anomalies. The Arctic is not passive. It is a responsive, interconnected system where fire, ice, water, and life interact continuously. The hidden forces revealed in methane eruptions underscore the fragile balance that sustains both local and global environmental stability. Global consequences are profound. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, capable of amplifying atmospheric warming and triggering feedback loops that destabilize additional permafrost and hydrate reserves. The Arctic, though distant from much of humanity, is an active participant in planetary processes. Each cataclysm beneath the ice is a reminder that the Earth operates as an interconnected system, and that energy stored in remote, frozen landscapes can ripple outward to influence climates and ecosystems far beyond the Arctic Circle. Fire atop ice is both local spectacle and global signal. The psychological impact of the methane abyss is as intense as the physical phenomena themselves. Flames erupting over frozen water, bubbles shimmering through icy currents, and the sudden violence of energy release provoke awe, fear, and reverence simultaneously. Observers are forced to confront human fragility, the immensity of natural forces, and the subtle balance that sustains extreme environments. Every eruption teaches patience, respect, and an understanding that the Arctic communicates not through words, but through motion, energy, and transformation. Ultimately, the methane abyss is a meditation on time, energy, and interconnection. Each plume, each eruption, each shimmering bubble is the visible manifestation of processes accumulated over millennia. Fire and ice coexist. Stillness is deceptive, and the Arctic reveals itself as a living, dynamic system. To witness the methane abyss is to confront the profound scale of nature, to recognize humanity's relative smallness, and to appreciate the intricate balance that sustains the hidden vitality of this frozen world. The final depths of the methane abyss reveal the Arctic in its most uncompromising form, a world of hidden power, latent energy, and breathtaking extremes. As bubbles rise through frigid waters, carrying energy stored over millennia, the surface may erupt in sudden bursts of flame, leaping across frozen seas in moments of fleeting brilliance. What appears serene and eternal from a distance is, in fact, a dynamic system, balanced precariously between stillness and upheaval. Every observation reminds humanity that beneath the ice lies a reservoir of potential energy that is patient, immense, and indifferent to human presence. The mechanics of the abyss are both subtle and profound. Methane hydrates, crystalline and delicate, respond instantly to minor changes in pressure or temperature. A small shift can trigger cascades of rising gas, plumes that distort currents, and thermal anomalies that alter the structure of ice above. The resulting displays fire atop frozen water, twisting columns of bubbles, and shifting ice formations are both visually stunning and scientifically significant. Each eruption is a manifestation of energy accumulated over millennia, a vivid reminder that natural processes operate on scales far greater than human perception. Life within the abyss adapts with resilience. Rising methane alters water density and currents, influencing the distribution of plankton, fish, and other marine organisms. Microbes metabolize methane in the sediments, converting energy into sustenance and maintaining fragile ecosystems in extreme conditions. Even the ice is transformed, melting, refreezing, and shifting in response to thermal and chemical changes. The Arctic is thus a responsive, interconnected system where fire, ice, water, and life interact continuously. Every cataclysm is both destructive and generative, reshaping habitats while sustaining unseen ecological networks. The global implications of these hidden forces are profound. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, capable of amplifying atmospheric warming and destabilizing additional hydrates and permafrost. Events in the methane abyss, though remote, resonate worldwide, influencing climate systems, oceanic currents, and ecological balances far beyond the Arctic Circle. The abyss is both archive and amplifier, a place where ancient energy connects directly to contemporary planetary change. Fire atop ice is more than spectacle. It is a tangible signal of the intricate, interconnected forces shaping Earth's environment. For those who witness the methane abyss firsthand, the experience is transformative. Flames erupting over frozen water, plumes shimmering through icy currents, and the sudden violence of energy release provoke awe, fear, and reverence. Observers are reminded of human fragility and the scale of forces accumulated over millennia. Each event teaches patience, humility, and respect, reinforcing the notion that the Arctic is not a passive backdrop, but an active, responsive world. Knowledge here is inseparable from experience, and understanding comes through careful observation, attentiveness, and reverence for the hidden power surrounding them. There is a strange poetry in these cataclysms. Fire atop frozen water illuminates textures invisible under normal light, while shadows and reflections create fleeting landscapes of beauty and tension. Rising bubbles twist like liquid sculptures, and the ice itself responds with subtle shifts. The Arctic communicates in extremes, stillness punctuated by sudden energy, beauty intertwined with danger. In the methane abyss, observers witness the planet's history, energy, and potential all at once, an immersive experience that is simultaneously scientific and emotional. Ultimately, the methane abyss is a meditation on time, energy, and interconnectedness. Each eruption, each plume, each shimmering bubble represents millennia of accumulation, released in moments of extraordinary intensity. Fire and ice coexist, currents twist unpredictably, and life adapts to extremes. To witness, it is to confront the scale of nature, the fragility of human perspective, and the delicate balance sustaining the Arctic's hidden vitality. The abyss is both a spectacle and a teacher, revealing a frozen world that is alive, dynamic, and profoundly connected to the global system.